Assalamualaikum guys, my name is Shabazz from Shobi Solutions, and today we have Pakistani entrepreneurs who are working in a $1 million industry. They have a whole life to share with us how they started, what part they kicked in, and what's their why. So today we have a wonderful couple, Areeba and Sameer. They're from Islamabad, Pakistan. Areeba and Fazan, they have been working at S&P for quite a while. So Azan background is purely working with different event management companies and establishing their own tycoon company.
Sorry, that's Sameer.
Sameer, sorry, it's my bad. Sameer and Areeba, she has also an exclusive, extensive background in managing different events in Islamabad and offshore places as well. She will be enlightening you where she has been working at. So over to Areeba and Sameer. The first question is, how did you land it into a multi-million-dollar industry in Pakistan, knowing the fact that everything is at this time is at the chaos? How are you guys trying to achieve, and how did you start this company?
So I think we both have our own stories. So I'll just start, and then Sameer can join in.
Go ahead.
We're both working at S&P, and how it all started was we wanted to do an event for one of our friends. And when we talked to a couple of companies, we realized that there's a lot of gap between how we talk, what we think, and what the vendors were explaining to us. Some of the event planners lacked just the basic way of dealing with a client. And I was coming from a client relations background, and Sameer was coming from sales background. So we both knew how to deal with clients internationally as well. So we felt like there's a gap there. And then we had a couple of friends who were already working in the event management industry. So looking at them, just generally seeing the control they had over their lives, they could just wake up one day and say, okay, I want to implement this strategy. And they could just go with the flow, and they had their own business, so they could maneuver it the way they wanted and the way they seemed best for it. So that's how the interest sparked. And I think Sameer was the one to identify that spark in me. And he said, I think we can start this. I'm from a financial background. You're from a marketing background. That's all you need for a business. So let's try this. Why not?
And that is exactly how we went for it, to be honest.
Yeah.
In Pakistan, the first question that before we called you guys, we ran a different survey, which is happening in Pakistan, and we get, some questions from different people who are, working or looking forward to working in an event management industry. So the first question that came across is that, every time you have to get a customer, right? When the time you started working on your company, how did you get the first customer? Was it from, your word of mouth? You got it from a different client's name? How did you acquire your first customer when you started it?
So you're talking about the first days, the first customer that we had. Okay, so I guess first customer for everyone, normally you always need a helping hand. Okay, so someone had seen our work that we had done for someone that was a friend, right? So they were guests, they saw that we had done a setup, and they liked it. So that's exactly how we got our first order. It was word of mouth. Pehla order comes through your word of mouth. That's how it works. Especially when you're a startup, because you don't really know what to do. You're planning everything, but then it's actually the practical aspect of it and doing something. So someone saw our work, and then they reached out and they were like, oh, so do you guys do events? And we were like, yeah, we do. So that's how we started off. So it was, I guess we got lucky that way.
We had made our Instagram page, I think, and we had about 15, 20 likes. And then somebody coming to the inbox and saying, would you do my event for me? I saw it from XYZ person. And we're really happy, and we're also surprised that somebody came up this early. We only have 15 followers, but yes, of course, you can say it was word of mouth. And I remember the client was really happy. So we celebrated that day by
yes.
that event.
And amusingly, she's contacted us very recently as well, saying, I'm still following you guys. I'm still there. I was your first client.
Actually, she also said, she's like, do you guys remember me? And then we said, yes, of course we do. We remember our first client. Yeah.
We were going to, one of our board members were going to your LinkedIn, through your Instagram page, and they were like, okay, Zuora is a huge brand in Islamabad in Pakistan. Wonders what they could achieve in coming years of time. What name, how did you come up with this name, Zuora? How do you pronounce it, the first name?
So it's pronounced Zuora. It's Zuora. It's a very famous Pakistani Urdu word, but then what a lot of people don't know is that it's also a Lebanese word, which means life. In Pakistan, this word means beautiful. So I guess because I've started marketing, I understood we had a couple of names. We had like a list of 10 names, and Sameer and I went into S&P. We were still at S&P at that time, and we conducted an experiment. We told people those 6 to 7 names. We shortlisted it down to 6 to 7. And by the end of the day, we asked them again, which name do you remember? And Zuora was the only one that 5 or 6 people remembered. So I knew always it clicked. We knew that this word has a good recall factor, which is mainly the reason why we kept it here. It has a good meaning. It's an easy name, easy to pronounce, easy to spell, good recall factor. I think that's all you need for a good company name.
I mean, you guys are, brand ambassadors. If you don't know, you are in the brand endorsement factors. Sameer, one question from you. When you talk about creating established brand in a country like Pakistan, Islamabad, what are the factors that you think every event management company has to have, in order to compete with the rest of the brands? Those are stepping into this.
Oh, so you're talking about barriers to entry for anyone that's coming into this. Okay, first, I think one thing is that you have to understand that this is not like a job. So people should be ready to get their hands dirty. That means literally, kabhi kabhar, you have to go to events and you have to do things with your own hands, right? Because our work is all about timing. So how late we get is all based on us. So sometimes you have to do that. So you should be ready for anything. Secondly, always have some sort of a capital, whether that's whether that's a personal savings, whether that's from your family, whether that's from XYZ resource. Always have a capital to invest, because if you don't do so, you're not going to be able to start any events because you need your own things to start off. I think that's something that I learned the hard way. Okay, we went with the process of, we'll do it, we'll reinvest, we'll keep doing it like that. And I believe that if someone was to do it now, especially today's day and age, looking at the economy and everything, it's very important to have your own capital to start something off and a backup to that, if that's even possible. And thirdly, I guess always do it with a partner. Have a partner in this, yes, because it's too much for one person to do. Uh, Areeba handles all this particular sales and marketing aspects of the brand, and my domain is the operations and the finance. So we've split it up accordingly, and then we've hired resources based on that. So we have created a structure because of that. So anyone who's entering this field should understand, okay, there's a hierarchy that they have to create. So divide and conquer. Don't do it all on your own. It's very difficult to do it on your own.
And I'd just like to add to that. I think you have to be very positive, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have a positive mindset. If you are somebody who gets demotivated very quickly, because you're going to have a lot of obstacles, you're not going to understand the growth, you're not going to understand where to get the raw materials from. Sometimes you'll have trouble creating something that the client has asked for. Sometimes you'll incur losses. So you have to be a very positive and very, very passionate person. Two keys to this, and exactly what Sameer said, you need the capital, you need to do it with a partner. That's what we can say from our experience.
Yeah,
I would
definitely.
have not been able to do it alone. I think
Likewise, I've already said that. So
yeah,
yes.
it helps.
True, exactly. That's very well put. Okay, Areeba, next question is from you. I mean, you are on the front end of Zuora, right? Mostly people reach out to you just because, they have a front end person, a person who is honest, who is of integrity. They reach out to you because they're looking up to you. So every time if an influencer reaches out to you, anybody or who is a top-notch influencer in Pakistan, how do you tackle with them? Because they have, tons of needs that they need to be satisfying as compared to an ordinary person. I mean, what are the first things that you have to keep in mind to get those covered the first time?
That's a very good question, actually. I just had a chat with an influencer today. And so what happens is we have, Alhamdulillah, reached a point where we have a social media team who takes care of our social media for the postings and for the queries as well. And what I've told my team and what Sameer and I have discussed over the years is that an influencer is just as important to us as any other client. We don't differentiate between somebody who's famous and somebody who's not famous, somebody who's giving money or not giving money. We do understand that an influencer has a lot more influence on people, but at the same time, they have a lot of responsibility. They're getting stuff for free and they're getting other people accustomed to it and they're spreading this norm. I don't think it's okay because it's a very, very hard field that we're in and we are responsible for the salaries of a lot of people. So what I do normally is that I've told my team to come up with a few terms and conditions because what we don't understand in Pakistan is that a collaboration is not only just coming from an influencer side. It's not you doing everything they're saying. It's you, your company, and the influencer meeting halfway. It has to be beneficial to the influencer and it has to be beneficial to you as a company. I'm really trying, I think for the past couple of months, we've been trying really hard to spread awareness to the event management companies, to the smaller ones, to the newer ones who are here, that please don't be just don't be a target of the influencers who want everything for free, because that's not how it works. Put forward your terms and conditions, tell them this is how you will work, charge them your travel costs, let them know what works for you. You tell them how many posts and stories and likes you want on what. And if they agree to that, if they agree to give you that recognition for your work, then why not?
I think that's the dilemma that most influencers and event management companies like you guys have to go through. Again, another question was on the same cause that you just mentioned, Areeba. Sameer, next question is from you. When there's a time people ask for, free collaboration just because they got huge brand name, it's going to give you a shout out, if you invest, let's say 100,000 on your event management setup, and they're going to give you a free shout out on their pages, on their website. Is that beneficial for you at the start, or you think it's just a waste of time or money?
Okay, so as Areeba was mentioning, it has to be mutually exclusive. Okay, it has to benefit me, and let's just say the influencer is you, right? It has to also benefit you. So we try to find a middle ground, right? So if there's an event which has a cost, like you stated, 100,000-ish or so, and someone is going to give you a shout out just for the exchange of that 100,000 worth of work. Now, finance to a side, let's just say the money is to a side. What about the time, the effort, the energy that we put in and that our team puts in, right? So this is the culture that needs to stop. That's not my personal opinion. I'm sure people are going to disagree with this. There'll be lots of people who would, but my personal opinion is no. It should not work that way. Just because someone is giving you a shout out because they've got XYZ likes on their page does not, it's never ever going to be the same. You will not get that much business out of it. There's no way to tell. Direct correlation bhi aapki nahi ho sakti. You can directly correlate how much business you're getting just from one particular influencer. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Instagram takes its time, things build up, and you can't, there's no way of knowing. So anyone who's making that mistake should stop right now. That's my personal view. And this is what we're trying to educate people about. It should help you and the influencer. Yes, if you think that you do their event and it's costing you 100,000, as long as they are contributing something, for example, in that 100, they're contributing 70%, 80%, it makes sense. You can take a small hit because that will help you with your sales in the future.
Yeah.
But in the start, I don't believe that one should do that. It's a bad way to start your business and a bad way to set your rapport, because then everyone's going to be coming to you for free collaborations. Yeah. That's what the norm becomes then.
Okay, so please,
think that just an example from an event that we did with an influencer who paid in full.
Oh, yes.
And then we always tell our clients, we always tell our influencers, if you like our work, give us a shout out. Don't give it to us because we have committed about it. Just if you like what you see, if you're enjoying what you see, you should, it's a responsibility to educate people, to influence people. If you like something you see, why not? So I remember she paid in full. She was the happiest bride, touch wood, on her day. It was her nikah day. And till date, she tags us on every single story every time somebody asks about an event planner in Islamabad. And I think that's the way to go. That's an example to follow.
True. Okay, just one thing. If Dwayne Johnson comes and says, "Okay, I just want the shout out," and you manage the whole thing, would still that be it, or still you guys are going to agree on what you just said?
Rules are rules. Rules are rules.
Policies.
That's all. Yeah,
Yes.
Policies above everything at the top. Otherwise, we can't sustain as a business.
Great, really appreciate it. Okay, so almost we are coming to the conclusion. Okay, so we're gonna play a little game. Okay, Areeba and Sameer. Now I'm gonna hit you with 3 questions, 3 for Areeba and 3 for Sameer. Areeba, you're gonna talk about 3 top branding factors that every brand has supposed to have. For instance, your brand has top 3 factors, the branding factors, and Sameer, you're gonna talk about those 3 factors that should not be the part of a brand. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So Areeba, first you.
Top 3 factors that you need in a brand and branding, right? So the first one is that you are your brand. You're representing your brand. The front face of the brand, whoever it is, either it's yourself or a person you've appointed, that person should entail everything that your brand represents. If it's honesty, if it's sincerity, if it's timeliness, if it's style, your face of the company should represent that. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be, you have to understand your target market, and you have to understand which segment are you targeting with your brand. And that's where all the marketing and all the expenses should go. For example, if you're targeting the middle upper class or the elite class, your marketing and your branding has to be in that way. So you have to really identify and research and make sure you know your area, because if you're shooting arrows all around in the air, you're going to end up nowhere, right? So that would be step two. And the third thing that I think a branding definitely requires is you should allocate budget, definitely on bi-yearly basis, every 3 months, every 2 months, however way it works for you. Sit together, brainstorm for new ideas. Don't be a monotonous brand. Over time, keep on making changes to it, keep on introducing new policies, keep on putting forward new people, have more people on board whom you can discuss your ideas with, what your brand represents. It should always evolve with time. It shouldn't stay the same for, say, 20 years, because then your brand is going to die.
True. Sameer, over to you.
So all the things you're saying a brand should not entail, right? From my perspective. For one, I believe that your people make your brand. So having demotivated staff, any member in your team, is not good for business, is not good for you. Try to figure out your people issues, solve them. And if something is not getting fixed, don't linger on. Get new employees, put new blood. Okay, your brand will only prosper if people are evolving with the brand. So old mentality and all of that, it needs to go, right? So demotivated people, something that I would say brand should not have, to be honest. Secondly, one thing that a brand should not generally do is expense the wrong things. So if you're going to sponsor your product, okay, or if you're going to spend money on putting things on billboards, and you know your brand is in the sort that where you can sell those things via billboards, don't do it. Just because someone's told you something works will not necessarily work for you.
Yeah.
So organic growth is the best way in our particular business. That's what we've learned. We don't sponsor our content. It is what it is, but that's because we put in the extra effort. So you'd rather put your money in hiring someone to do all of that, as opposed to putting it on, social media advertising, right? And third thing that your brand should not have. Well, if it's a happy brand that you have, so again, it's the face of the company, whoever that is, it should be a positive figure. People need to have someone positive and happy to look up to. That is how your brand image stays. So leadership is very important. So if you're the leader and you are creating a brand and your labor is looking at you, and so is your upper management, middle management, the main thing here is that you are supposed to boost morale. So you keep it that way. Leaders need to be the face of the company.
Yeah.
That's my
I think that sums it up.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hope we answered your question.
Exactly, that's done. Okay, one last question. It's from both of you. You can have different opinions. Okay, so Areeba, mention one favorite quote that has been with you since the start. You started your own company, and up till now, that quote is, it's what makes you do things. That's your why. What's that one favorite quote that you do solely believe in? It might be different, might be same. It's up to you.
So I remember when I was in S&P, I remember this moment very clearly. I was sitting in a board meeting, it got over, and then Sameer was in Malaysia at that time. He called me and he said, I met with my cousin, and he's doing an amazing job. He has a couple of businesses. He was starting his IPOs at that time. And he said, I sat with him and he said something that's, it just stuck with me. He said, whenever you're trying to do something, be positive, be too positive, and never look back. And I think that has been with me throughout the times when I had a bad client, throughout the times when we prepared for everything and it rained, throughout the times when we had a truck on the way and it got into an accident and everything broke. It has been with me through the times when a client has tried to give us negative publicity for XYZ reasons, because they misquoted us at a lot of points. But this thing has been with me throughout the time when we started, and it's still with me today. And this is something I tell my employees now. And I tell them, you cannot sit down and cry. You cannot look back. You have to look forward. You have to be positive. And being too positive means just letting go of everything else. All the negative energy, you have to let it go out the window.
That's impressive.
Yes.
Samir, you? What about you?
So for me, it's not really a quotation, but more like 3 alphabets. Okay. And it sums up the entire thing for me, which is DIY, do it yourself. No matter if you're the owner, no matter if you're the boss, no matter if you're the labor, do it yourself and people will follow. So like I said, there are times when we actually physically, I have had to pick up things. So as a Reba, we even do that till now. Doesn't matter if we've got 20 people working on an event or 50 people. Even now we do it ourselves. Reason is, when you're the owner of a business, if you're not going to get your hands dirty, nothing's going to work in your favor. You cannot just throw money and expect things to work out. That's not how it's done. So I live by this specifically for event management. Do it now, do it yourself, and people will follow. It's as simple as that. So that's what works for me, I guess.
Great. That sums our entire podcast and entire session for today. I'm really honored. I'm really privileged and happy to have you guys finally at my show after delays.
Thank you so much for
Thank you so
inviting
much.
us. So very
Yes.
kind of you.
We would have loved to do this earlier, but I
Yeah.
think we got it right this time. It's the timing and everything.
Yeah.
Exactly. Would you guys like to add anything else? How people could reach out to you? What's the most easiest way to come out to you guys?
So just want to add a little bit to it is that we felt like when we started, there wasn't a lot of help around. I mean, of course, you have these Google pages, you have these courses that are available online, but to be able to connect with somebody emotionally and then to like their work, to be a fan of their work and to reach out to them and start working with them is not something which is an option, which was not an option at our time. When we started working, I used to admire a lot of people, their work, but it was never an option to go see their work or to join them or to learn from them. So since we didn't have that, we're starting that now.
Oh
We're
yeah.
going to be introducing our online courses and in-person courses in August, inshallah. And we're really hoping that people out there who are starting off, who look up to us, who are inspired by us, or as simple as people who want to try out event management, we want to make this path a little easier for them. And the participants of this course will also be able to access a couple of things if they want to start their events, some basic things that we can provide. For example, a few arches, a few things here and there, things that we went around looking for and couldn't find anywhere. We were really exploited in the start. So
we intend to give people direction and teach them so they can they have a foundation to build upon. So that's something that we
really
lacked when we
back.
started.
Yeah, we just want to give back to everybody and all the love that we've gotten over the years that way.
And that's really impressive. Inshallah, it's going to work out. People are going to join you guys. You're going to have an entire industry in Pakistan in coming years. God bless you. More power to both of you. MashaAllah, you guys are doing a fine, fantastic job. My board members are quite impressed. I mean, we have 2 of them at this point. They were quite impressed. I mean, let's hope they visit Pakistan and, we might get you guys acquainted as well with them. Okay, so that's it, I guess.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. Take care.
It's really an honor to have you guys, and we're going to just cut off the recording.